Hello, I'm Jeremy Rivera, your unscripted podcast host. I'm here with Wyatt Bonicelli. Why don't you give yourself a quick introduction, telling us about some of your experience in the industry that's made you an expert that we should pay attention to?
Yeah, hey Jeremy, thank you for having me on. Like you said, my name is Wyatt Bonicelli. I'm the founder of Evolve Agency here in Edmond, Oklahoma. Started out as an engineer, found my niche here in marketing. So I've been growing this since around 2024, and really I've kind of dialed it in with web development and SEO for home service contractors. Currently have several window cleaning companies that I'm working with, and really helping them make the jump from word of mouth marketing only to getting an online presence and getting leads coming to them instead of them doing all the door to door and stuff. They're able to kind of grow on autopilot. So it's working out really well.
I also have a soft spot for home service providers. I've worked with roofers, plumbers, sunroom companies. What is it about that particular niche that speaks to you and your agency? What is it about that model that you find that you're able to find success with?
Yeah, it really kind of started out with a couple of guys in the church that were already in that realm of things. And I was looking into the rank and rent model and I was like, well, maybe I could just benefit them. And so started up websites for them, helped them grow in that way, and saw that it was effective and decided to kind of turn it up more than that. And really have a pretty good understanding of the industry. We've owned a few homes now and renovated both of them, and I've had to deal with various contractors and just working with people. If you get recommended to somebody and they don't have any web presence at all, they don't have any online reviews or a website talking about what they do and where, it's a little harder to trust them with a big check. So it's something that I know a good bit about through experience, and I've done some DIY renovation stuff myself. So that's kind of what got me started. And also, those guys are not typically able to invest a lot in their marketing presence. And I see a lot of people charging, 3,000 plus for a website. So that was kind of my introduction offer to people, is like, hey, let's get you online. Not going to charge you a ton, and we'll help you grow in that way. And so that's kind of the lead magnet, if you will, is kind of a lower ticket price website with the upsell of SEO and then meta ads, YouTube ads to kind of help pour fuel on the fire.
What's been your experience looking at, Google My Business, trying to create signals that this business really is in this locality? What are some of your go-to tactics when it comes to building that reputation?
Yeah. So for most of the guys, if they don't have a physical address to lock in, unfortunately, they're pretty hampered by Google business profiles. I've seen one company in particular, their average map ranking on Google Maps was actually 99. And they weren't showing up anywhere at all. And unfortunately, that's tied to if you have a physical address or not. And so I always pitch that to guys like, hey, once you're doing really well and you're able to, take on like a small rental place somewhere, we can grow your leads with that as well. But then just having a service area, Google business profile, just somewhere that they can gather reviews. I push them towards that, even if they're not able to get an address verified. So I push them to that. And then of course you can embed that on their website and get the various Google properties, talking to each other. That helps, like you said, establish that they are where they say they are.
Awesome. I'm curious. My friend Michael McDougall of Right Thing Agency asked me this question, and I thought I had a good answer, but I'm curious what another service area person might think. If you have a client and they, say they're doing precast concrete walls and they're in multiple different states, technically they can deliver anywhere in the United States, but they have a few markets that they want to target as far as states. Then on the states, they want to, target specific cities with location pages or areas with location pages. How many location pages are too many? Was his question to me. I have my own
Okay.
answer, but I'm curious
Yeah.
from your perspective and how Google has flipped on its head 2012. I don't know if this was in your era or not. In 2012, they literally called them doorway pages, and they would smack your site down if you had too many. But somewhere, I think it was around 2020-ish, we rediscovered location pages. It became part of their best advice, tailor it down and, build a city specific page. But too much of a good thing sometimes is too much.
Hmm.
And you can't obviously create a site that has every what 300 that I was in 3,552 different American cities. Like, you can't
Right.
create a page for each of them. That's too much. But how many is too much in your opinion?
That's a great question. I was going to bring up those doorway pages. In my experience with my clients, I haven't seen any manual actions, no penalties or anything from creating location pages in a multiple state situation. I would say first try to get those GMBs verified at certain addresses, and then you can link each of those GMBs to their city or state specific page. That would be the best way to do it. As far as how many is too many, I would probably start slow. It's kind of like topical authority. You don't want to go out there and publish 3,000 blog posts because obviously that looks like spam. But if you start with probably one page per state or city and see how your Google Search Console responds to that, if it's doing well, your impressions are trending up, you can probably drip in some more. And of course, I would kind of map out the high end clientele cities first. So, for instance, in Oklahoma, I would target Nichols Hills, a kind of a high-end neighborhood, before I would target, Del City or just greater Oklahoma City, just to really try to take advantage of a smaller market that would be a good market, like your ideal clients. So I would start small and then climb up, keep an eye on your ideal clients.
I agree. Here's what I told him that I would do. I said, I think I would make a state level, making a for a state. I'd target your three major metros that are going to bring the most value, and then two or three of the top two cities under that. Now, sometimes the metro area is defined by the city name, so that's like Nashville. So I'd target like Franklin and
Hmm.
Cool Springs, or if it were where more of a region like Upper Cumberland, where I live, Cookeville and Crossville are some of the two top cities, or Sparta. So I wouldn't try to hit all of them. I just hit region plus one or two, and then make sure that they interlink kind of into these hubs, and then link between the two regions to support each other, but not try to link Chattanooga area to the cities that are relevant to Cookeville, for example. That was
Yeah,
my thinking.
absolutely. Hub pages, good interlinking, just showing Google like any page on your website that doesn't have a link internally, externally, it's probably not going to get indexed. So, like you said, the internal linking is key. So, for anybody out there that DIY'd their own website, go back and look, see if you can navigate to all of your pages within your site. Ideally, 2 clicks from the homepage.
What's been some of the surprising sources, or maybe just the slap your forehead duh moments of, hey, I've got this client, I need to get them links and authority. That's part of the big play locally, getting them local links, getting them authority, getting relevant anchor text. What have been some of your methods, your wells that you dip into for the link building side for service businesses?
It's a good question. Fortunately, it's pretty easy. There are a lot of good ways to do it. So one of my clients is an indoor golf simulator facility. And so anything niche specific is always great. Like for tree trimmers, you'd want to get listed on tree trimming directories. Same thing with the indoor golf stuff. But another thing to get like super local links would be just to talk to ChatGPT and like, hey, help me develop an advanced Google query where I can find sponsorships, business partnerships in my state, ideally in my city, but state would be fine too. And then you reach out to those, you see what their pricing is, and a lot of times they'll have like corporate stuff up to like 10 grand or more. So if you're a smaller company, you're probably just going to want a link from their homepage if that's offered, or even a link from their event page. Now, if you do that, you want to make sure that those pages are going to be indexable. If not, then you won't get that link benefit. But really, it's kind of searching by it's like all in text, and it would be sponsor or business partnership, things like that. Business sponsors, corporate sponsors. You're looking for that kind of verbiage on websites, and then it would also include like a plus city or state. So in my case, that would be plus Oklahoma or plus Oklahoma City, and then you can just crawl through each of those websites, look for anything that's a good match. I've got a Google sheet with all the cities that I have clients in where I'm kind of sourcing these link options. And then I'm pitching them to my clients as well. It's like if you're working with a church, obviously they're not going to want to be linked from just any website. It needs to be, appropriate or something like that. So It's always important you run them by the clients if they're in anything sensitive like that.
That definitely makes sense. There's a good resource tool for that. It's called LSW, Sponsor Finder by ZipSprout. So if you look up ZipSprout, LSF, they have a free tool that lets you do that type of query and search. They have a database that they maintain and they do Google crawls and it'll send you to sponsored pages. Definitely recommend that.
I
I've
have
talked
not
to a
heard of
lot
that.
of,
I'm going to check that out.
yeah, there you go. Definitely a solid tactic. It's something I've used for a couple of different clients here and there. Local trash cleanup is also something that you can also do. You know, you can set up a local trash cleanup, have your client come out and clean it up. There's event aggregator sites, Eventbrite. Every city
Hmm.
usually has 2 to 3 homegrown ones. Nice way to get some a mix of follow and no follow. Get some participation from Facebook pages, Reddit pages. I always like that one.
Sounds like good stuff for press releases as well.
Yeah, because then you can come back and you can double down on it because you can then release top 3 green companies cleaning up X community, and you
Mm,
just include the other 2 companies that have recently done trash cleanups. Yours is at the top, and then you've got a third party positioned press release not coming from your client but listing them. That can get you cited in local newspapers as well as just your traditional PR places, which can get cited. Not to mention Copilot, Gemini, and GPT. They all are very fast at checking if you ask for what events are coming up. They either have an API access or Google is very fast at indexing it. I think it might be a combination of both, but I've put up events and been able to ask within 15 minutes of that Eventbrite being posted, they're able to find it and reference it and remember it. So, nice little extra way to get some AI agent visibility and additional citations out of that same sponsorship process.
absolutely. That's really good. I haven't done any Eventbrite stuff with the intent of PR or link building, but gonna add that to the back pocket for sure. That sounds like something right up my agency.
Glad to give you good ideas. What are some of the off the wall or surprising things that you've discovered when you've been talking to your clients as far as marketing ideas, strategies that worked, or perhaps something crazy they tried that didn't work?
That's a good question. Got two here. The first one would be took on a client and he had built his own website and it looked good. It had a hero section with a video playing of him, squeegeeing windows. And it looked really good, and he brought me on to do some SEO, and so I look, and he's actually got the no index tag on. So you've had this website for years. I looked at the keyword search volume. People were already looking for his brand. He had branded searches, but he had no way to convert them because he had accidentally left that tag on. So I gave him a hard time about that one, but of course, he's a window cleaner. He's not deep diving into SEO, so he had no idea. But we got that fixed for him, and his website improved quickly. But that was probably the most surprising thing so far. Another thing that works really well for kind of spreading out your leads would be Steve Hunziker on YouTube. He's out in Arizona. He's got this program where he gives out these gift cards to each completed client. So let's say it's a window cleaner, and you give out 3 gift cards to each of your clients. And on the back it says, gift by, and you just Sharpie in the client's name. And depending on the service value, let's say it's window cleaning, so $300 plus for a service fee, and let's say $50 off gift card. So you give 3 of those to the client. They've got their name on the back. They disperse those to other people, friends, family, person at the grocery store. Like, hey, just got this gift card, you can have it. And so that brings you more leads. The person who's giving them away looks awesome because like, hey, they just gave me a gift card. That's great. Also a good stocking stuffer, birthday gift card, etc. So then you also come back to the person who the initial service customer, and you get them like a Chick-fil-A gift card or whatever, anytime that a card with their name gets redeemed. So it's kind of like a built-in affiliate program where all parties get a benefit. So you can basically set that gift card amount to whatever your normal cost per client comes out to. That way it's like it's useful for them. It's not $5, right? Like you're not going to be incentivized to do anything, but if it's $100, they're going to go get those cards out pretty quick. So that's something pretty low budget that I've seen give some really good returns for clients.
Those are pretty solid ideas. Just to let you know, I worked with a very large website that was cited by NASA. Uh, they worked with you could access telescopes across the country through their online portal. So it was a huge program mentioned in, New York Times, LA Times, hundreds of links. Director of programming had no followed everything except for
Mm,
the homepage. And I
mm,
went and asked, "Why did you do that?" He's like, "I thought it was a good idea," and was unable to substantiate exactly why he thought it was a good idea.
ouch.
Just to point out
Ouch.
that applying a no follow to one site isn't a sin that's limited just to the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've done
Yep. Yep.
plenty
I can
of
see it.
big brand relaunches, brand new website launches. Yep, then launched it with a no follow. So it's definitely one of those items where you can shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Um, I've also worked with a client who it's the golfing facility, so they've got a parent company with their own website, and so I look to their backlinks to the parent site that are pointing to the Oklahoma City locations, and I've reached out to those owners of those websites to say, hey, they've got their own website now, so we're pulling authority from the parent company to get more local authority here in OKC with existing links. It's kind of like stealing your competitor's link, except it's all within the same company, but it's more accurate, more relevant for the actual Oklahoma City website. And so that's another one. It's just finding links that aren't even broken necessarily, but it could be updated to be more accurate.
I love that because, aside from, the first step is making sure that you are internally linking from page to page and referring to yourself and that you have an about page, which apparently for some people is a difficult concept to understand. I should have a page that's about me. But I think that comes from kind of an ignorance of how Google understands entities and puts together information about your business not just from your page, but from other sources. But definitely going up that corporate ladder, any service programs that you're a part of, and accreditations that you have that you can get listed on directories. If entrepreneur centers are great. If you're a local entrepreneur in a small city, you can often, join a co-working hub or join a place like that that has entrepreneur resources that should be connected to anyways, which are fantastic for leads. But they often have directories that you can get listings on or make contributions or host events there that'll gain you additional local links. I find a lot of people don't know the power of connecting locally.
Absolutely. I've got several of the links that I've scraped are actually local sports team sponsorships, which was an idea that I got from my son's like soccer league. It's like they don't really have any branding on the jerseys at all, so I'm like reaching out to them. How much would it cost to sponsor the jerseys? Because then you're in every single photo in the whole metro. That's another great option is getting hyper local, and then anyone that could fit your ideal target of clientele again. Where are they spending their time? And getting your company listed in those areas can be a huge ROI from a single link.
What do you think is the future when it comes to the interplay of these new chat GPT agents? Will we continue to see, LLM based technology spread further into the consumer space? Do you think it'll have a huge impact on consumer behavior, or are we mostly just seeing the fallout of Google's adoption of LLM based technology and throwing those and yet another unique SERP type for us to be concerned about or explore how to rank in? What do you think LLM SEO, AI SEO, how big of an impact is that going to have, and in what ways should it shape aspects of your strategy?
That's a great question. There's a lot of money to be made in that realm right now. With my focus largely on local clients, it doesn't seem to me that LLMs are taking over that space. You've got all of the Google business profile data is owned by Google. So they've kind of got a leg up there. So anytime you can get your physical address validated, that goes a long way. For e-commerce or something like that, absolutely, you're going to need to be pushing LLM SEO, AI SEO, GEO, whatever you want to define it as. But for me and my clients, the local stuff seems to still be pretty heavy on the Google Maps, and then less important on the organic SEO. But I'm expecting and planning that it will continue to play a larger role. I do think it's important to take a step back and look at the average Joe, or even like the generation one or two steps older than us, and see how they're using, how are they coming out with their information. Are they logging into Gemini and Perplexity? No, no. In fact, most people are not even aware of Cursor AI or Claude Code. We're kind of in a bubble a lot of times, and we think that everybody else is using the tools the same way that we are. I would say, at least for home services right now, the LLMs are not a huge player, but something that I imagine will continue to creep in closer. I mean, you can of course ask for recommendations, and from what I've seen, it's still crawling Google search results and Google Maps results as well. It's not coming to its own determination from an intense research application. The Google links are already there, and to me, that's what I've seen. But for home services, not a huge focus of me. My main thing is getting people a physical address verified, and then building out local and organic SEO.
What's been your experience with the state of social and its interplay with SEO? Is it mandatory for a local service business to consider leveraging meta ads or placing ads on X, or in order to get market capture, or just to solidify to Google, oh, hey, there are local people that are genuinely searching for this. And one good way to get local people to click through to the site is to do a geo-targeted ad
Right.
campaign on Meta so that you can prove, hey, it's that secondary brand search that people are going to do. If they see your short ad, then they want to research you a little bit, research the industry a little bit. So almost paying for the ads just to bolster SEO. Is that something that is in your head, or is that part of your strategy, or is it really more locked into ROAS, return on ad spend, directly from the platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I push people, my clients, like the SEO is kind of the bread and butter that I do, but at the same time, I like to set expectations clearly from the jump. So depending on the client, their existing website, if they've had it for 5 years and they've got some branded search, SEO is going to be pretty quick. If they don't, and the website is either I'm making it new for the first time, or, they had a one-page website that wasn't optimized at all, it's going to take a little bit longer. And so I'm working to package meta ads in with my current offering to help them get some leads right away and get some return on investment, some ROAS from the jump. And so I'm kind of pushing both angles, right? We're gonna grow quickly with the paid ads. We're gonna grow long term with the SEO. And we've seen a few clients get some really big like commercial window cleaning gigs through Google search, but those take time to get to, like I said. So ideally both. And then with meta ads in particular, you're actually building brand at the same time, especially if you're doing kind of those owner intro ads where the owner is, talking head video style ad, like, hey, my name's Wyatt, I'm with Evolve Agency, and you're like in front of a city landmark right behind you. That establishes trust really quick. And then, like I said, if you're in the branded polo, you've got the hat on potentially, you're building brand, you're getting your stuff in front of the right eyeballs, and like you said, you can really dial it in. In particular on Meta, you can go drop that pin on the downtown area where people are working, give it like a 1 mile radius, and then you can also do that around like your ideal neighborhoods. Like so, one of my clients started doing this recently, where we set him up with some owner intro ads and hit like the main neighborhoods around his area with the affluent homes, and he went out and did some door knocking a few days later, and people are answering the door like, "Hey, I saw your ad already," and they signed up right away because they already trusted him. They'd already seen him, and that was just simply from a $10 a day meta ad. Now, results are kind of limited with that low of a budget, but they built trust before he even got there, and now his branded search is going up. So they all work together, and you can use both of them at the same time to kind of bounce off of one another. And then the more active you are on social, organic social, whenever you're running ads, they can just click on you and go see your recent posts. Like, yes, this is a real company. That's the owner. That's who is going to show up at my house. So if anything, it'll increase your conversions for sure. But it's something I definitely recommend for short term growth as well.
Curious if you've tried it yet with any of your clients. There was a shocking study a few years ago where it showed that out of home service calls that were done to, I think the sample was about 200 businesses, that 90% of those calls actually were never returned at all by the
Mm-hmm.
business. And I think it was 4% of the calls actually made it to a live agent, and the remaining 6 were called back just once. Have you tried using any software that uses like an AI call return agent or an AI phone service, or work to set up your clients with a call center, one of the two, to kind of handle, because if they're service professionals, you either have a team or it might be some old guy who's been doing it forever, and he might be in the middle of fixing a toilet, or it might be up on the roof, and so he doesn't pick up the phone and misses the lead, doesn't follow up
Mm-hmm.
on it. So
Yeah.
what's been your experience in coaching clients on improving their follow through, improving lead quality, and also, it's a two-way street, sending them crappy leads is bad, and then getting a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
auto dialers is not great, but also if they don't pick up the phone, it's hard to get them the business, right?
Right. Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge thorn in the side. And in fact, after running my first few meta ad campaigns, I've now told people from the jump, like, don't even consider this if you're not okay double texting, triple texting, double calling people, because the meta ads, you're interrupting them. They're just looking at cat videos on their phone. You interrupt them, they say, "Oh, okay, sure," type in their name, and then they've already forgotten about you. So if you don't call them back within a minute or two, I mean, there's a Harvard study on that, right? You're 400% more likely to convert if you call within the first 5 minutes, I believe. So I tell people, don't even entertain this if you're not gonna reach out to people and don't feel like you're bothering them. They raised their hand, they contacted you, they said yes, please reach out to me. So that's something that I've pushed recently. And then whenever the colder leads start to come through, they're like, okay, I know what to do. I keep bugging them. And then some of those people, they don't convert on the fourth, fifth touch point. You gotta just keep at it. As far as answering tools or anything like that, I haven't used any. I've been looking into some. Most of my clients are either single owner operator or they've got just a few people below them. Most of them have their wives helping them with managing calls and stuff. So they've kind of got a built-in backup there. And so then I'm just building automations where, this call was missed and then it'll email or text the wife or whatever business line. So I've done that in Zapier. But yeah, if they're not going to answer the phone or get back to those people quickly, you're paying for leads and then it's going right down the toilet. So that is a major pain point for these small home-owned businesses, and something they really have to do well to make the most of paid advertising for sure.
Love it. So just kind of wrapping up, if you had to give low-hanging fruits advice of, hey, you're a local service business owner, what is the easiest, within the next 24 hours, maybe the next hour, go and do this. It's going to benefit you from an SEO or marketing perspective. What would be your go-to advice, or probably one of the first steps you do when you onboard clients, right?
Yeah. Um, So non-SEO would be some print marketing. You're driving your vehicle around all day. If it's not wrapped or at least has like a magnet on it that says who you are, what you do with a QR code or a phone number, you're missing out on, a driving billboard. So that's something you can do for as little as like 50, 60 bucks on Amazon. Get like a 2x3 car magnet, put one on each side in the back of your vehicle. That goes a long way. In a similar vein, you can get one of those A-frame sandwich boards. I think they are also 2x3 around that size. Um, you get your branding on there, you get your name, what you do, QR code, put that out in the street while you're servicing the job. People drive by. It happens almost weekly now. I'll get a text, hey, just got a lead from my A-frame. And that's like $250, $300 one-time deal. Um, It'll pay for itself on your first lead, especially if you're any decent sized ticket service. It's going to pay for itself quickly. And again, you're just establishing trust. You're getting more eyeballs on your stuff. Um, and then kind of just more of that print marketing, right? So door hangers, you can just leave a door hanger on like the nearest 10, 15 homes. You can even write the person's name. Hey, just serviced your neighbor John. Use his name for a $75 discount, something like that. Um, I just preach this to the guys, the business owners, like let's turn one lead into more. Let's try to get three or four out of every one, and that pyramid will just continue to grow. So that's all the non SEO stuff. As far as SEO, you get a pretty nice bump whenever you join the Chamber of Commerce because that's always a good trust signal. So in the states that I have clients in, I've got sheets that kind of compare and contrast basically the biggest chambers in their state. Typically, I mean, not always. The closest city chamber won't be the best for you as far as SEO goes. They might be smaller, they might be newer. And so it's worth taking the time to evaluate the cities around you to see what your best option is.
Love it. Thank you so much. Go ahead and call out your business URL and company name one more time. If you have anything downloadable or extra resources to refer to, go ahead and shout that out too. I'll add it to the show notes.
Yeah, yeah. So again, my name is Wyatt with Evolve Agency in Edmond, Oklahoma. The URL is evolveagencyok.com. I need to work on some PDF magnets, but I'll leave everybody with one more tip. If you have a Google Business Profile and you are regularly driving to that location, so not a service area, but a location, take your phone before you drive into work, tell your staff to do it as well, hit airplane mode, wait 15 seconds, turn airplane mode off, turn off Wi-Fi, go to Google Maps, search your primary keyword, click on your business, scroll if you have to. Hopefully after a while you won't have to scroll, and then take the driving directions, turn that on, drive to work. When you get there, turn it off. That's one of those trust signals that goes a long way. It's pretty hard to fake that. You know, there are people getting like 100 cards or 100 phones and SIM cards doing that. But if you have yourself and three other employees that are doing that every day, you've got a lot of trust signals. And just so you know, well, not you, but your audience, I know they're smart as well, but the airplane mode on off resets your IP address. So you'll be a fresh user in their eyes each time.
Very smart. Thanks for your time, Wyatt.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jeremy.